working with Castor on doing some mounting stuff, but on the block. So I've done a lot of stuff on the fence. I like to do that first, but I'm still going to do some stuff on the fence, but I want to get him used to that block because that's what I'm going to be using every single day. So I'm going to keep the halter on him, keep the rope on him. I'm going to go ahead and start leaning over him. So he's kind of had my feet touch his sides. He's had my feet go over his back. And I think I've fed him over like on the opposite side. So if I'd lean over, he would take a treat from the other side. We've done that a little bit. Now I want to actually kind of get on him a little bit more, like leaning on him, having him feel my weight, and just getting a little bit more closer to mounting basically. And I find that a lot easier with the block. So you can also do this with the fence rail. Like I can do that with the fence as well. I probably will do it both ways before I actually get on him. I like to make sure he's good in both situations on both sides before I do anything else. But I'm just gonna ask him to step over here. He was a little close to the block. And that's just another good skill for him to have is just move away from my hand pressure. But overall, he looks pretty relaxed right here. He's still listening and he'll respond to my rope cues and things like that. And he's kind of just hanging out. He's a little asking for what I want there. He's a little confused. He thought maybe pick his foot up. But I'm just going to put some weight on his withers a little bit. And that's what I'm trying to do here. That's why it looks a little weird. I'm trying to feed him from the other side. So he's got to get used to that because I'm going to be on him. I'm going to be feeding him from the left side and the right side. It's not going to just be one side all the time. And I want him to know that he can see me out of both eyes and it's not a big deal. So I put my hand out and that was pretty nice. He looked pretty relaxed, a little stiff, like he's got to practice doing it a little bit and kind of figure out what it is that I want, but overall, pretty good. Much better than what I've seen kind of from the fence a little bit. He had some struggling times there where he was a little tense and worried, but there, I'm gonna go ahead and put my whole leg over. And you've seen before in the other videos where I have my leg on top of him, I'll have my knee on his back and kind of barely put my foot over and he's kind of touched my foot. Now I'm gonna go ahead and put it all the way over. And then from here, like I'm gonna keep doing this both sides and then shape it to where I can put like my weight and sit on him for just a second, click, come off, and then I'm gonna build that up 2 seconds, 3 seconds, and then actually sitting all the way on him for a second, and then again building that up. And you'll see that whole process as well. So that's kind of where I'm going with this, and I'm mixing things up. So at this point, like he's used to me kind of being on his back and seeing me move around and feeding him from the other side. So I'm kind of mixing all those things together. So just like I said in other videos, like since he kind of knows some of this stuff, I'm going to start mixing it because that's what he's going to be doing once I start riding him. So I asked him to flex his head this way, and he thought maybe I should turn it the other way, but he came off of that rope pressure there because that's what's also going to happen here in the future. I love his body language here. He looks really relaxed. And he picks his head up to get the treat, so he's got a little tension in there when he goes and picks it up from that offside. So I want to watch that, and ideally I would like him to keep that head and neck level and stay nice and relaxed while he goes and takes that treat. But he looks really good here. And I'm adding in some padding here, so you've seen his videos on that where I really had to train and shape that as well. So he looks great. Like he's really coming along and getting all those mounting steps right. There he's confused. I want him to back up. And since I was asking him to move his shoulders over earlier, he thought maybe pick my foot up, so that's where he got that little bit of a toss there. And he just overreacts. So I asked him to step back, and he was like, oh, go to the other side. Because I do want him to go to the other side, but I want him to kind of slow down, like just take his time. Like he's very like, I ask him for a little bit and he'll give me a lot, which is nice, but I kind of have to check him a little bit and be like, let's just wait. I think part of that is my fault, definitely, because I should ask him and then let him hang out and reward him a lot more for standing still and being relaxed than rewarding him for all these behaviors. So that's definitely going to be partially my fault. So right there, like I just had him stand and just hang out and then go ahead and reward him for being relaxed there. So lots of that. You can definitely get caught up in rewarding for behavior, behavior, behavior. Then you have a horse that's going to be throwing behaviors and they can be anxious and stuff like that. So you always have to reward the opposite of the behavior as well. And depending on your horse, just as much or more than the actual behavior. So, and I'm just going to ask him to come to this other side here. So not super great angle to see what I was doing, but I'm going to be doing the same thing. And then you can kind of see that opposite angle. So from the other side, kind of see what my foot's doing, stuff like that. So I'm just going to ask him to line up here and get a little bit closer. He does know how to just line up like by targeting my hand, or if I raise up my hand, he'll side pass toward it. We already have those tools, but I wanted to work on this tool. So if I wanted to set him up next to the mounting block with the lead rope or with the bridle on later, then he does have that tool as well. So that's why I was asking him to do it like that. It's just another thing. And then we just practiced some relaxation and some standing there. So that was really good for him. Just hanging out and I'm gonna pet on him a little bit and then we'll work on our mounting. So he's just got to do different things and mix in those lessons that we've been working on. So here you can see a bit what I was doing from the other side, just from this side, this point of view. So a lot of just kind of going up and down the block, leaning over him, doing some jumping up and down, which we've also worked on previously, so he does know that. And then I got off the block earlier and fed him. Now I'm going to feed him from on the block, just kind of mixing things up at this point. Lean over him here. He looks great. I like to make sure everything's taken care of before I actually sit on his back. So make sure he's good with movement, he's good with my weight, he's good with my foot going over, he's good with me moving around, he's good with sounds, seeing me out of both eyes, taking treats from both sides. All of that stuff needs to be done first. So you could get a little tight there. That's all right. I'm gonna see that. Like he's tightest when I'm asking him to like stretch over and take a treat. That was actually really nice. That was probably the best he's done. But this is a good angle so you could see how he's taking it and how I'm giving it to him from that other side, because what I did his left side earlier, you couldn't see it. But that was really nice. Like I recognized that he had been a little tight. I was like, okay, no big deal. Just pet on him for a second and then asked him to come over. And I'm just going to tap him on the shoulder here. That was pretty good. So yeah, he looks a lot more relaxed on the side, but I'm just tapping on his shoulder and then giving him the treat. So I'm showing him, hey, it's on this side. That's not the bridge. I am clicking him for his bridge signal. That's just showing him what shoulder is the treat's going to be on. So there I'll add a little bit more weight and then I'll feed him from this side. So just again mixing things up. Move the block, get on and off, move his lead rope around, kind of lean on him from the ground. So I do take some things from like Jeffrey's method and they kind of like pull on the horse and put some weight on him and move around on him. So that's where some of that's coming from. And then I like to do most of my stuff from the block. I always get on from the block, both sides, and just kind of make sure he's used to that. I don't really like getting on from the ground, but I will do some of that just in case we would do that in the future. Might forget my block or end up on a trail ride or something where I need that. But that's kind of where that's coming from. He looks great. He's got a little bit of tension in his neck. I'd like maybe his head to be a bit lower, but overall, pretty good. He's not trying to leave or show me that he's super tight. I like how he stays the same when I go ahead to swing my leg over. I think it's just that where I'm feeding his treat and positioning of his head and neck. So I think if I fed him a little bit lower, his neck would go down a bit more, but it's going down on his own. So that's pretty cool. Like it's lowering as I get up and then it stays like that as I sit on him. That looks great. Yeah, I think it's just partially part of that feeding because now he's lifting it up because he's like, oh, that's where I'm going to get that treat. So I'm just going to feed him a little bit lower in the future. So that looks fantastic. I'm really happy with that.